speaking of shocking, Mayor Olivia Chow, she's discussing on how Ontario mayors are complaining about increasing homeless encampments. Oh,
Mm.
golly, I can't wait to hear what her honor has to say about this one, Drea.
At least she has clothes on, so that's good.
I don't want to comment on people's intention, but I do hear and see the desperation of many mayors across Ontario. I read their their numbers. We're on a WhatsApp group together. And every day they're saying, oh my God, what are we going to do? It's getting cold, and they have photos of people in tents in their city, and it's growing and growing and growing. And if you look at there are some, because we are not single tier, we are single tier, and a lot of the municipalities are two tiers, right? So it's the mayor the provincial dealing with shelters are upper tier for them. So it's the upper tier, sorry to get into weeds on this, versus a single tier. So some of the mayors just don't have the financial capacity to do what needs to be done, right? We are trying our best. We still are not nowhere near enough because you're seeing tents out there. We are reducing them as much as we can. But as the rent rises, you are seeing these folks in Daily Bread Food Bank. You look at the dramatic increase of the use of Daily Bread Food Bank and the number of young people that are in our shelter right now, right? These are kids.
To quote Kirk Douglas in the throes of dementia or Alzheimer's, what are you saying? Drea, I understood maybe 30% of that answer. Oh, please give me an early Christmas gift. Please tell me what she was trying to say.
Okay, well, you have a more eloquent quote. I was going to quote Billy Madison, where he's like, we are all now, I think he says, dumber for having listened to what you just said. Like, that's the way I felt. Like, what's happening? And, it's not that hard to make sense when you're talking about such a pertinent issue. This issue has been going on for a long time. So the fact that she can't even string a sentence together about it is quite concerning. I was trying to find a link. She did mention that there's a lot more youth in the shelters. We're seeing that out here in BC, and I was going to trying to find that our food banks are providing in BC a higher rate than normal to youth. It's actually youth walking up and getting the food, which is so sad. It'd be nice if we had, mayors and premiers who are able to articulate why that matters. But again, if we see change in 2025, I wonder how much can be done in this area and how quickly.
Well, Drea, you nailed it. The missing from Olivia Chow's diatribe was why? Why are we seeing this spike? And I can tell you by going to some homeless encampments, and it's truly heartbreaking, but there are, I think, the two core demographics at these homeless encampments are people who are substance abusers. Okay, the other contingent are mentally ill
mental
people.
Health.
Yeah, and I don't think the solution is, for substance abusers is to open up so-called safe injection sites. So you just prolong their misery. I like what Daniel Smith is doing in Alberta, rounding up people under threat of going to jail, being put in dorms, learning all the basics over again. Budgeting, how to, wash clothes. I know it sounds crazy, but you've got to, start from scratch with so many of these people. As far as the mentally ill, we are now seeing the bitter fruit of our experiment going back to the 60s and 70s when we shut down mental asylums and we deinstitutionalized people. And the feeling was, as long, we've made incredible pharmaceutical advancements. As long as they take their meds, they'll be okay. Well, you know what? That's a big if. And you have those people. And if people want to get nasty with me, oh, mental asylums, what century are we living in? I'm sorry. For their protection and ours, that was the best place to be. And really, where would you rather be? In an institution where there's central heating, 3 square meals, some counseling to try to address the mental illness, or to be in a tent in minus 28? Like, really? Is that what the left thinks compassion is these days?
You're so right. It is mostly people with what they call co-occurring disorders, mental health and addiction. And when you're in mental health, it's so easy for the cycle of addiction to continue. And we're not doing enough there. In British Columbia, there's the whole debate over having involuntary care. You mentioned facilities being shut down. Riverview, our mental health hospital, it's just movie after movie over there. That's all they're doing is filming it for Hollywood instead of getting people off the streets and the help they need. And we're seeing the outcome of it. Of course, I can't jump the gun and say everybody's dealing with mental health in these situations, but just in recent weeks, we had our mass stabbing out here in BC. I shared a link of that. Just, I think, a day or two before that, a judge was just attacked outside of the courthouse, even though she was walking with security. That's, I guess, what happens. They get escorted with security. She was physically attacked. So people are losing it. And in British Columbia, we're like, here's your safer supply. You're good to go. We broke the stigma. Yay.
Where's the safe part? And I can tell you too, Drea, unfortunately, because of Canada being what it is after almost a decade of Trudeau, there are people who are out on the street. I met a few in Hamilton when we were filming a homeless encampment there. The juxtaposition was amazing. These homeless tents at this beautiful public park right next to a marina with, yachts that undoubtedly cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. But here's the thing. We know there's now 2 million people in Canada, 2 million, relying on food banks. We know some of these people being recipients of food banks, well, they were actually donors to the food bank system just 5 or 6 years ago, which is terrifying.